This is what it sounds like under the bridge of Interstate 35 at South 4th Street in Waco, Texas. Cars, SUVs, and big rigs are rumbling overhead while other vehicles cruise on the frontage road to the north and south. But around 10 a.m. on any given Sunday, you will hear something different at this location.
Can y'all clap with us? Because we don't have music, but we don't need music. All we need is y'all, us, and the Lord. Y'all ready? Yeah, let's go. Melody.
It's a congregation of believers gathering together to worship God, singing His praises.
Melodies from heaven, rain down on me, rain down on me.
Many of the worshipers are homeless, underemployed, or suffer from mental, intellectual, or physical disabilities. But they come to be fed by the good word of God and to receive a free meal.
Fill me with your precious Holy Ghost.
When God brought the Hebrews out of slavery in Egypt, one of the first things they did was sing together.
They come for love and friendship.
It's all about relationships and just being kind to people and just loving people and building relationships and just loving people and making them feel welcome.
I was just kind of in a dark place, just felt lonely, and church helps a lot with that.
But what church meets in a noisy area of Waco without walls? And who would want to turn this place under an elevated interstate highway into a holy sanctuary?
It's just like any church except it's outside.
That would be Jimmy Dorrell, pastor of Church Under the Bridge.
We're there. I mean, it could be 20 degrees or it could be 110 degrees. We're there every Sunday no matter what.
Welcome to BYU Radio's Big Stories, telling the amazing and inspiring tales from the Big 12 and beyond. I'm your host, Cleon Wall. Our episode, Churching the Unchurched, the Jimmy and Janet Dorrell story.
He will show you what the true meaning of God's love is.
The World Cup Cafe and Free Trade Market was bustling with business on a late Friday morning in early April. The dining area of the cafe was going to be my mobile studio for the day. This is where I was supposed to meet Jimmy Dorrell and his wife, Janet. I came in the back entrance and surprised him after I ascended the stairs.
I said, I have no idea. In fact, I looked up that lady and thought, I guess Cleon could be a too. I don't know. I'm so glad you're here.
I am too.
You have any trouble finding us?
Jimmy secured a booth for us in the dining room, and I started setting up my equipment to record the interview. All the while, Jimmy was asking me questions to get to know me a bit better. I'm an open book, so he knew a condensed version of my life in about 10 minutes. Then the server stopped by the booth. But she wasn't there just to pick up his food order. She was also there to talk to Jimmy about the tough morning she was having.
Everything's going great, except we're doing a garage sale at the house today. And it's like there's stuff everywhere. And then when we woke up this morning, I got woken up to doors slamming.
Jimmy listened intently as she detailed the drama at her house.
Hard to start a day like that. Yeah. When you got chaos in your stuff everywhere. Garage sales.
Morning.
Yeah. Well, here you are. You made it to work and you're doing okay.
Jimmy made her day. He heard what she had to say without judgment. She then listened to Jimmy as he gave his food order. I was finally ready to start peppering him with questions about being the pastor of the non-denominational Church Under the Bridge. But bringing church to the unchurched, which was a term he used, began when he arrived in Waco in the 1960s. Jimmy grew up in a Baptist home in Conroe, Texas, just outside of Houston. And since Baylor University had Baptist roots, Jimmy thought it was the perfect school for him. Jimmy declared as a religion major and felt called to the ministry, or at least do something that would bring people closer to Jesus Christ. Then two experiences focused him on the type of life and ministry he would lead. While still working on his undergraduate degree at Baylor, Jimmy worked with a pastor who showed him the other side of Waco. It was an area of the city called No Man's Land. It was the first time he saw extreme poverty up close. Then, after he graduated from Baylor, Jimmy secured a job as a recreation director at a Texas state home for kids who had been abused or neglected. He wondered if he'd be able to cut it after day one. A 6-year-old cussed him out, and he had to break up a fight in the gym. He called this his put up or shut up moment. He decided to put up and stuck around for 3 years. Oh, and one more thing changed his life. He met his future wife, Janet.
The first time I got to know her, when she would come out and work with the low-income children sitting in the state home, she's a horse person, and so we had these worthless Shetland ponies that nobody could tame, and she came out and she'd tame them and she'd let the kids ride it, and so it was the fact that she was out of her comfort zone but doing the right things, and so we had a shared experience of middle-class life, learning to care for people who we came to love together.
I wanted to be partners with somebody who walked with God.
This is Janet Dorrell,
who heard God's voice, who cared about people. And when I met him, that was something that was pretty obvious to me, that he really cared a lot for other people besides himself.
After Jimmy graduated from Southwestern Baptist Theological Seminary, the Dorrells' walk with God would take them outside of Texas.
We had a 1-year-old, and we bought tickets around the world and took off. And for the next 4.5 months, we went around the world.
Didn't necessarily want to go to all the touristy places. We really wanted to go to places where we could see people in action in normal, everyday life.
Well, we started in Europe, and again, you go look at those beautiful Notre Dame and all these different beautiful places, but you go inside and nobody's home.
There's so many beggar children in Italy, and when we went there, it was like we were just enthralled at how are these kids surviving, how are they living, who cares about them.
After volunteering in various Asian countries, the small Dorrell family landed in India.
And we had the privilege to go find the work of Mother Teresa. There was a place there called Kalighat, 100 beds for men, 100 for women that were in their last days or hours of life. And so these sisters of charity every day would feed them and take care of them. If 5 of them died in that night, they'd go down to the train stations and get that many more persons that were almost dead. And it was overwhelming to see that many people in near-death experiences. We volunteered, we washed towels, we clean faces, all those things that you do. And as well, we worked in the slums with the Sisters of Charity.
It was just amazing to be with them, to see how they lived and how they worked. So there's this purpose of justice, wanting to make sure and take care of widows that nobody cared about, making sure that we cared about orphans that nobody else seemed to see.
And I think that being at the end of our trip, having seen all this pain and need and hunger, I mean, we saw babies that died in the arms of mothers on that trip. And you can't ever be the same, or you should never be the same, once you see that kind of reality. So we came home, came to Waco actually, and decided we couldn't go back to middle class America. We had to move in among the poor. So we started looking around and found this neighborhood, which historically had been that middle-class neighborhood and now had become all poor. Bought an old house. I live in a big house that we bought for $12,000 and had a cat lady living in it that had 40 cats in one bedroom, 2 veterans on the other side that were mentally ill, and a kid upstairs with rats and roaches. And we bought this house, and my father-in-law was not really happy with me. But it was right. And so I took another job just writing grants and doing program development for an agency over time, and Mission Waco grew up.
Mission Waco has grown a lot since its inception in the Dorrells' home.
First thing we did was to build a basketball court at my house because the neighborhood kids, these are all lower income African American kids, nowhere to go to play. So we built a half court and made it into a full court. And that's courts, just 47 years later, we're still living in that same house, and the neighborhood kids still come. We lived among those people, and they became our friends, and they began to share life with us.
But the neighbors didn't immediately open up to Jimmy and Janet.
They were suspicious of who we were. Why would you move into this neighborhood?
Janet and the Dorrell children started clubs for the neighborhood kids.
And my boys bridged the gap with those African American and those Hispanic, and they pulled a club off. And I just showed up to bring the snacks.
All of a sudden, they knew Janet was incredible with the neighborhood people, and the things that we and I take for granted, that they didn't have. And so they'd say, "Can you help my husband get a job?" And so we had to figure out a way to do a job training. "Can you help my uncle get off crack?" We had to find a way to get into recovery because there's no things for poor. So all the community-based relationship stuff became our basis for making decisions here in the neighborhood. Our model is low-key, listen to the neighborhood first, and through those relationships, these programs begin to happen.
That included economic development in Jimmy's North Waco neighborhood. World Cup Cafe is just one example. Then there is the Jubilee Theater next door. Mission Waco purchased the property, hired a theater director, and started putting on productions that dealt with social issues.
We just did a play on incarceration and helping people understand. We do big theater camps with kids, teach them how to share their feelings and understand bigger stuff in the world. Even with working with low-income kids, the children that are in the school next door, some of them are extremely rowdy in classroom because they're dyslexic or they can't read well because they've got all these other issues. And we can take those same kids and put them on the stage and they become the heroes.
Across the street is the Colcord Center. The former liquor store was turned into a shopping center that houses an ice cream parlor, candy store, and coffee shop, all owned by local entrepreneurs. Kitty corner to Colcord Center is the Jubilee Food Market.
This was a Safeway back in the 20s. We bought the building and gutted it. We brought the neighborhood together. 65 neighborhood people showed up, and we talked for 2 hours about what do they wish this building was. And they voted, and 75% said we want a healthy and affordable grocery store.
The nearest grocery store was over 2 miles away, which was a burden on many residents.
And so we thought, oh man, the margin for groceries is like 2% profit. It's real small. And so we thought, well, this may take Mission Waco down. And then I was speaking in the church in Dallas, and this guy came up to the end. He said, hi, I just retired from Kroger's after 40 years. Can I come down and look at your building and see if we can help? So we ended up putting it together.
Urban Reap is right next door. That's where residents learn to grow their own food and so much more. As we walk back toward the cafe, Jimmy details so many other programs under the Mission Waco umbrella.
Downtown is the homeless shelter, the social service center, which has got 8 or 9 staff, an apartment complex, and the resale store place. So there's 16 buildings, I think, totally.
And there is also Mission World, which helps and empowers women and families in various countries.
We changed the economy of close to 10,000 people in this village.
Janet is the director.
And these women all walk around with respect and joy and fun, and some of the men now work for them.
As Jimmy and I are chatting outside, a woman approaches him about one of the mission's biggest projects, Creekside Community Village. It's a small permanent housing neighborhood for the homeless in McLennan County.
What I would like to do, if we were to buy a home or 2 or 3 or whatever, I want to get to know the families that live there.
Mission Waco is still raising money for phase 1 of the project. It's just one more way Jimmy and others are trying to church the unchurched.
It's this idea that the God cares about the whole person, the widow, the person who's sick, the leper, how Christ cared for the whole person. So if we're doing a grocery store and think, well, what's spiritual about that? Well, it's part of the whole person.
When we come back, how an encounter with a group of homeless men led to the formation of Church Under the Bridge.
We had to be creative because the way you communicate, church structures don't really work with broken people in so many ways.
This is BYU Radio's Big Stories. Hey everyone, Cleon Wall here again. I'm inviting you to check out another BYU Radio podcast. It's called Deep Blue. It's where you get the true stories of BYU athletes and coaches from their own mouths. It's hosted by my colleague, Jason Shepard. Last season, they had great interviews on Deep Blue, including Cougar quarterback Gary Bohannon. He teared up quite a bit talking about his son and what it means for his boy to watch his dad play. Also, BYU swimmer Jordan Tiffany, who quit swimming due to mental health struggles. He talked about how he was able to get back in the pool again. More great conversations for season number 3. BYU running back Hinckley Rapati will talk about his tear-filled journey to BYU. Former BYU tight end Chad Lewis, he's going to reflect back on that special 1996 BYU football season. And BYU basketball players Richie Saunders and Fuseni Traore discuss their unique relationship. It started way before they got to BYU. Please subscribe and listen to Deep Blue with Jason Shepard wherever you get podcasts, or check it out on the BYU Radio app. Welcome back to our Big Stories episode, Churching the Unchurched.
We're going to love you no matter what, and we're not going to give up on you.
While sitting in the World Cup Cafe on a Friday morning in April, Baylor grads Jimmy and Janet Dorrell regaled me with tales of traveling around the world to serve the poor, then moving back to Waco to help their impoverished neighbors.
It just made sense because we know the community. And the nice thing historically has been, I knew the churches, I knew the pastors, I knew the Baylor, I knew the environment. And so it's worked out to be, having lived here now and invested that deeply among the poor and marginalized, it's been an asset to be in Waco.
The ordained minister and his wife eventually formed the nonprofit organization Mission Waco.
Our model is low-key, listen to the neighborhood first, don't go do for them, listen to them. And through those relationships, these programs begin to happen. And children's clubs were first. Then we started working with the teenagers and helping them stay in school, education, etc. So everything was progressive, but it wasn't like we had a master plan. And so all these 17 programs that we do today happened over the years, listening.
Listening was also the key to the formation of Church Under the Bridge several years ago. One morning, Jimmy and Janet were eating breakfast across the street from an interstate bridge near Baylor University.
We were outside on their porch and eating and looked over and saw the homeless under the bridge. These were mostly mentally ill to some degree, addicted people. Those terms together are called dually diagnosed. And so we said, we don't understand homelessness very much. Let's go over and invite them to breakfast over here with us. We'll buy their breakfast. They can tell us their stories. And they did. And so 4 or 5 of them came. We spent 2 or 3 hours out there on the porch listening to the stories. And had I grown up like them, I'd have been homeless. It was a lot of pain as they shared their stories. They said, this is so fun. Thanks for listening to us. Let's do it next week. So we came back, and they came, and we bought breakfast again, and they brought a few more friends. By the 3rd week, breakfast was $250, and this was a long time ago. That was a lot of money then. But same results. They just felt affirmed. I said, guys, I can't afford to keep doing this. Janet and I can't do that. But they said, well, why don't you come under the bridge right across the street here and do a Bible study? So we went over. Janet sings and plays the guitar, and so we got some metal chairs and took them over there. It was so loud you could hardly hear anything because it was overhead traffic was so loud. But we sat and did a little Bible study, and she sang, and it was great. They said, hey, do it again next week. So we've been doing it now for 32 years and never went away.
And it's grown.
So today we run about 225, 50 people every week, black, white, brown, rich, poor, mentally ill folks, Baylor professors. It's this crazy, crazy mix of people.
Jimmy left his job behind as president of Mission Waco to become the church's pastor. He also expanded the church's reach outside of Sunday worship services. Churching the Unchurched went on a road trip the Saturday morning after my cafe chat with Jimmy and Janet. On this gray and blustery day, volunteers gathered at the Circle apartment complex for the Circle Up Children's Program.
On Saturday mornings, we meet outside and play with the children. We go wake them up in their apartment complexes to come out and play, and then have a special event every so often. So today is one of those special events.
They got lots of things going on out here in this massive apartment complex field. They've got kids playing basketball. They've got kids playing soccer, tag, kickball. They've got coloring. They've got music going on. Food is being served.
We spent most of last year getting to know the kids in the neighborhood.
This is Circle Up Program Director Ryan Dirker.
And eventually inviting them out to the basketball court on Saturday mornings where we have basketballs and footballs and kickballs. And then at the end of it, we talk about the Bible for about 20 minutes or so.
What do you like about coming out here?
It's cool. It's fun.
14-year-old Deshaun was one of many teens having a blast.
The thing I love most about it is kickball.
I mean, we ain't doing nothing besides kickball for us, so kickball.
12-year-old Jaden butted into our interview. What are you best at?
Football.
What position do you like to play?
I like playing running back, receiver, and corner.
Favorite thing about this interview?
Get interviewed.
Unlike the two boys, church congregation member Terrence Shelton was trying to figure out a way to get out of talking to me.
You know what? The ball got me a little bit.
But when I asked him about why he decided to donate his time to Circle Up, he reminisced about a similar experience he had when he was a child. A group called King's Club came to visit him. King's Club was started by Mission Waco.
I grew up in South Terrace apartments, and I just really enjoyed every Saturday when they came out. Now, admittedly, the snacks were what got me in as a kid, but it was definitely great to see people that were different from me but wanted to spend time with me.
Baylor track and field athletes were invited to participate in the sports bonanza by one of their coaches.
Play basketball with them, play football, just Just being there with them and giving them somebody to hang out with.
Caleb Ackman and Nolan Keenan are distance runners.
It's definitely fulfilling to know that you're serving others and you're being a light for Christ.
I live a couple miles from everybody around here, and just sharing fellowship with your neighbors is definitely a biblical, just kind of a commitment, right? And so with that, I think for me as a person, it's just fulfilling in general.
I love for people to come out and do community with the kids and get the kids more involved.
Circle apartment resident Sadie Burks has known the guy she calls Mr. Jimmy for a long time.
I lived on 15th Street and he lived on 15th Street. He had Mission of Waco, church up under the bridge when we didn't have a church to go to.
Some of the people I've known for 25 years that are from the neighborhood that moved over here. It's just a great place.
I love Mr. Jimmy. I really do. I love that man. Well, you might as well say he's just another father figure for me because my father is gone. He taught me a lot of stuff that I didn't know. Taught me how to pray. That's one thing he taught me how to do. Taught me to become a better mom that I am. And I just love him for that. I'm gonna start crying. I gotta stop.
After wrapping up my interviews, I was offered a hamburger by the church staff. I graciously accepted it and sat down to eat. Another teenage boy sat down next to me and chatted with me about the activities of the day and his plan to play video games that afternoon. He was a bit despondent when I told him I was leaving and wasn't going to hang out with him for the rest of the day. He was looking for more than just food and fun. He was seeking out connection.
We want you to know we care for you, we love you, and we want to build relationships with you to help you in ways that we can.
Sunday was finally here. I parked near the I-35 overpass and walked to the hallowed grounds of Church Under the Bridge. Folding chairs faced a flatbed trailer that was fashioned into a stage. Sack lunches were provided to anyone who wanted or needed the food. One child, chewing on a sandwich, hugged a dog in a shopping cart. Others grabbed their food and moved away from the growing crowd, dealing with whatever was burdening them that day. The churchgoer embraced one woman who was eventually taken by ambulance to the hospital. Pastor Jimmy was dressed like many of his parishioners in a t-shirt, hooded sweatshirt, and sweatpants. He chatted with several people before he took the stage.
We got a lot of you in the back that are sunshine worshipers. Y'all scoot up a little bit closer, if you will, so we can feel like we're all together. Thank you.
Then came music provided by a choir from Baylor University called Heavenly Voices.
If y'all know these songs we're about to sing, y'all stand up and sing it with us. We're excited to get hyped with y'all today. The blood still works.
What drew you here the first time?
The music. I just heard it across the street and I decided to come over here, and I've been here for about 3 months now. And just a lot of love in there,
Many in the crowd stood to sing. One man was so overjoyed, he joined the Heavenly Voices on the stage.
It's good to sing together. The people of God have always been a singing people, right?
Rebecca Poe Hayes then sermonized on Psalm 133.
One of the things that holds these songs all together is that they're all about the places that God makes holy. God makes them extraordinary.
I'm going to put on my robe.
Extraordinary may not describe this place of worship, but it does describe the people who have been changed by the minister of Pastor Jimmy in the church. Cindy Finley has been attending services for 25 years.
They're all-inclusive. They don't judge you by what you look or how many tattoos you have, which I'm pretty well covered.
Now Cindy works as a taxi service for the church's Hotel Motel residence program.
I help people in the lower-end hotels and motels.
How do you help them?
Like I'll take them to get food or help them with prescriptions or, take them on errands if they don't have a ride, stuff like that.
What is your goal when you come on Sunday?
My goal is just to give somebody a hug.
Elaine Clark, the church's office manager, was one of the last people to leave the services that Sunday.
I came around when I was a youth. Pastor Jimmy helped me get off the streets, out of drugs and out of prostitution. I was actually into self-injury, and I actually had tried to kill myself, and the day I got out of the psych hospital, came over here to the church, and Pastor Jimmy came up to me and asked me what I had done, and I was like, that's none of your business, you don't really care. And he told me, yeah, I do. And if you ever try to do that again or think about doing it, come see me at my office. So the next day when I was thinking about hurting myself, I went and saw him at his office. And he started talking to me and then got me volunteering at Mission Waco and had me actually scrubbing toilets. But I started going and seeing him every day, and he kind of became my spiritual dad. And 15 years without self-injury, without drugs. And now I'm where I am because of him, with working with the church and all that, and working with kids that are just like me.
Churching the unchurched really comes down to one action, and that's love.
I think the first thing that we had to do, and anybody that does this kind of work has to do, is learn to love people regardless.
I could see and feel the love Jimmy had for everyone in the 3 days I spent with him, and the love people had for their pastor.
He's helped me change my life. He's, to me, the one who, he shows you who God is and what Jesus' love is like.
I love what we do. I have been so blessed. My son does the same kind of work we do, living in the worst neighborhood of Galveston. So there's this sense of legitimacy and transparency of thinking life is fun. And so I don't have to be pretentious.
People might look at this and say, wait, how is that fun?
It's relationships. I love people. I know the people here in the cafe, and it's like I can hug them and I can ask them how they're doing. It's a freedom to love across boundaries. The greatest compliment for me is I'm just Jimmy. I've got titles, I don't use them. I don't want to be pastor, I want to be Jimmy.
Churching the Unchurched is produced and written by Whitney Sheffield and Cleon Wall. Music and post-production by Kevin West. Make sure you watch BYUTV's Big Stories by logging on to BYUSN.com. Big Stories is a production of BYU Radio.